Five,
Working.
four,
We got the
three, two,
sound
one.
working and a little
I'm John
bright. We got a
Miglosh
little
of the
bit
Wisconsin
back a little.
DMA and the
That's
International Society for Strategic Marketing. Happy to see you all. Let's dig in. First, I want to start with United Airlines. I'm not quite sure what to make of this, but I have some stock, full disclosure.
Can everyone hear me?
Get your day started. I'm not exactly sure what this is about. I have really no idea. In fact, I searched the news to find out what they revealed yesterday. I couldn't find a single thing, except maybe they're cutting more employees. So I have no idea, but it looked like they were working on the logistics to make sure you fly to the right city. I have actually gone to the wrong city. Never mind. I was young. I didn't know much about things. There's 4 airports in LA you can go to, and I went to the one that my aunt wasn't expecting and I wasn't supposed to be on. It was in the old days. Anyway, I thought that would be fun to start off with. One of the things I always follow, and United, I like the music. So, Jones Soda enables voter registration with QR code labels. And I want all of you, especially you mailers, to hear this. I want you to hear that the coolest soda label, this soda label actually has user-created content. They use digital presses to produce labels so that if they like your submission, you get some labels of their soda. Okay? So it's really targeting millennials and integrating social media and crowdsourced. It's about the same. Crowdsourced creative, all of that, and yet they're using a QR code. And here's the cool part. So here it says voting beats not voting. And I agree with that 100%. I think you should vote, especially if you know what you're doing. If you own property, and you're over 50 or something. I don't know that my friends who are over 50 are any better. Their votes are going to be any better than my kids. Most of my kids. We'll talk about that in a second. But anyway, so it's facilitating voter registration within minutes using labels equipped with QR codes. The way it works is your state, and I don't know if it's with your state, but my son did this where he actually not only registered, but requested an absentee ballot, I believe. And you just pull out your driver's license, you QR code to the site. The site asks you to identify yourself. You take a picture of your driver's license with all that ID junk on it, and they send you a ballot in the mail, and you fill it out and you mail it in. You don't have to stand in line. You don't have to wait for the COVID to kill you. It's great, I think. Not sure I'm going to do it. I may stand in line, actually get my vote counted for real. Or in my town, you can go there, get an absentee ballot, fill it out, put it back in right then, and it gets counted on election day just as everybody else's. I kind of like that better. I don't know. I like the mail, but I live in a very, very one-sided neighborhood, I think, it seems like. And I'm not sure, if I were a postman, I'd deliver it. I'm not sure I wouldn't. That's one of those things about those kind of comments. You just don't know. Okay, so on that note, I thought I would talk about, we'll switch back over to the travel industry just for a second. Okay, there was a study and an article in the Hustle about the sudden shift to remote work is having a devastating effect on the multi-trillion-dollar office support economy. So if your remote work has you missing your daily Starbucks cold brew, I make my own for pennies. This one bag of Piggly Wiggly coffee, French roast, is about the cost of 2 Starbucks coffees. And they don't even give you free refills at Starbucks as far as I know. Anyway, so I am saving a bundle by that. And I think it tastes better. I don't like Starbucks coffee. It's burnt. And so there's all kinds of things with, all kinds of things are not getting money spent on them. But, sometimes that saves up money and it moves around in different ways. And Levine, who wrote the study, said that long-lived cities undergo great temporary shock, tend to bounce back. And if people are fleeing New York City, new people can come in. So if you were a international business person and you've always wanted to live in New York City, now is the time to go looking. And I was just looking at a duplex this morning that looks like a heck of a deal, unbelievable. I should look at that price chart, see if they've lowered the price. Anyway, moving on. Here was an really interesting article. This was in the media. I don't know. There's a way to get at some of these articles. Let's see if it's here. Media Post. That's it. Okay, Joe Mandesi. I've cited him before. Really interesting. He points to a study, but the study's available, so I just went to the study. Americans trust employers more than government to end racism, not government. Okay, and I had it zoomed in because I want to be able to read the graphs, so we'll move that over. Okay, 71% of Americans trust their employer, and there's something to that. I mean, as an employer, we've had initiatives over the years to hire all kinds of different people. We were really actually pretty, I don't know what you call it, colorblind. That's now a term that's been, people don't like it. I don't know why. But when I was a manager with 60 employees, we had lots of women, some of color. The manager was from the Philippines, I think, or Malaysia or somewhere, and the art department. I had a guy who was pretty openly gay working there, and we had some good talks about the challenges of that and the struggles he had. So employers, that's the street, man. That's right where it actually can happen, which also says that maybe it's better to have a job than it is to have government handouts and services, if that makes any sense. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. Somebody's calling me. Can't take that right now. It's probably a junk call. Okay, a couple other graphs I really thought was interesting. One was that people think across the board small business is the place to solve it. And I think that was really good. Oh, good morning, Keith. I haven't been looking at the comments. Sorry about that. Small business was the place to really settle racism. And this is where those opportunity zones and other initiatives that were pioneered by the Trump administration. Actually, they were pioneered by Bob McEwen in India. He went around India and he interviewed people and he looked around at the towns and stuff because India wanted to know how to create economic expansion. And it was about 30 years ago, I would say. And I heard this directly from Bob. And he told the story. And Bob said, he went around and unemployment was like 70%. And he saw all these able-bodied men drinking tea and, just sitting around playing backgammon or something. And he said he went and started talking to him. He said, what's the deal? And they said, well, taxes are so high. If I go to work, it's 90% or 80% of what I earn gets taken. What's the point? And, at some point, and this is another problem with socialism, at some point taxes get to the point where there is no point, right? There's no point to the I was here till 7 o'clock at night and then I did some more work when I got home. You say, I'm going to go work for somebody. You know, I can take home more doing Uber or something. And that is, it undermines incentive, as I've said many times, okay? So he went to the government and he said, I don't expect you to change your whole tax code and all that, but let's try it in a couple of cities. Let's just make what we'll call an opportunity zone, and we'll have in that zone, people pay less taxes, businesses pay less taxes, and that's pretty much most of the incentive. Well, guess where one of those cities was? Mumbai. And of course, now it's one of the big commercial centers in the world. And Bob says that's what we need in America. And so in Wisconsin, I think the federal government declared, working with state and local leaders, declared 70 zones, most of which are in the inner city, but about half, I would say. I did look it up. And but some are out in the rural areas that are really underdeveloped and really could use some companies moving out there. And it's a good place for call centers. We have good, we don't have a heavy accent, not East Coast, West Coast, or down south. It's kind of just a nothing. I don't take any credit for that. It's just where I grew up. Actually, I grew up down south. I grew up mostly Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi. If I go back there, I start sounding like that. But I've been in Wisconsin long enough that I can cover that up. Anyway, but Wisconsin, and it's good logistics, as we talked about yesterday. But small business is probably right. That's the way to do it. And the opportunity zones were working so great. Historical low unemployment in the black, especially among young blacks, was doing great. Which is, some say, I won't say that may be why the riots were encouraged so explicitly, because, it destroyed lots of small businesses. Something to think about. I'm happy to comment. I see Keith commented. I don't see a lot of likes on that, so maybe I'm ringing some bad bells. But, it's something to think about. It's a good perspective. Anyway, post-Kenosha, it's really, there's really clear differentiation between Democrat and Republican. Democrats look to mainstream media. This is up here. Republicans look to social media and not much to media at all, but social media, mainstream media is nothing, okay? And interesting though, blacks are turning more to social media now than to mainstream media. And that, but everybody was looking at the media after Kenosha. Now here's the one I wanted to get to the most, really an interesting graph. Here's who do we trust to find out more about racial injustice, okay? The peers, let's zoom in a little more on that one, okay? And the answer was across America, general population, my friends and family. So if you have opportunities, I know nobody wants to talk about this. We've had some big high volume, low value discussions. But yet, you need to talk. You need to talk a lot with your friends and family and see what they're thinking and see if you're out to lunch. I have one daughter who knows I'm out to lunch or tells me, and I said, okay, I'll tell you what. I'll watch anything, send me a YouTube video or something, and we'll keep track of the minutes. And that's the deal I made. I said, you send me something you want me to watch, and I'll send you something I want you to watch. And I will watch anything you send me. And she hasn't taken me up on most of that. And I'm not quite sure why. But anyway, some say experts. That's probably not me. I remember, and some say black journalists. Down here at the bottom is Republican leaders. I'm all in on that. So let me tell you my formula for understanding the race question. I remember seeing a congressional hearing, and Candace Owens, who I like, my daughter does not like, and I don't know why. Candace used to be a committed liberal woman of color and has kind of flipped over. And I don't know what box to put her in, but she's very thoughtful. And she testified before Congress. And they had two white women, and I'm only saying that because that's what this article is about, but, professors who were social scientist experts on race, and they talked about how the black community is worried about white supremacists. And Candace got in there and she said, I don't know why you even invited me. You want to hear what the black community thinks? You're asking the white, professor rather than asking blacks. And she said, on a scale of 1 to 100 of the top things that the black community is concerned about, that wouldn't be in the top 100, not even on the list. I've never met a white supremacist. Anybody met one? There's not an affirmative action for white supremacists. There's nothing. And so what I listen to is black conservative journalists. Now, I listen to Juan on the 5. I don't like most of anything he says, but I do listen. I make it a point to listen. It's hard for me. But I like to listen to especially the black leaders that have flipped. And there's a guy in Georgia, I don't remember his name, but he's an assemblyman, a state assemblyman, and he has some very thoughtful things to say. And he was shocked at how his own party that helped him get elected came down slamming hard on him when he decided to say some things that were somewhat controversial, which probably I've already shared today. Anyway, it's a complex issue, and now we'll move to tomorrow's preview. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about read the nation's mood before you commit to your Christmas campaign. Now, that's a little hard in direct mail, okay? We're already pretty much in it. But it's been a very good year so far, one of the best ever for my clients and for us. And so we're going to talk about Mark Ritson because I like Mark, but I don't have time today, and I don't mean to stretch this out. So like and share. Hopefully this will be thoughtful for you. That's really my goal. It's not necessarily to be right or to be, to make you angry, but be thoughtful. In fact, my number one views almost was when I talked explicitly about Black Lives Matter, which we're going to stay away from today. Have a great day. Comment. I love the comments. Yesterday was a high water mark for comments. Bye-bye. Now I got to figure this out.